Good afternoon everyone. Welcome to another session of ALVCOM Active Learning Video Lecture Communication Series. This program has been started by GTU with technical aids from BISEC. On today's, I am Mr. Paresh Moda, working as an assistant professor in A.D. Patel Institute of Technology, New Vallabh, Today's topic is electromagnetics. So in the last two sessions, we have discussed about electromagnetics. In today's session, we will discuss about if we are connecting two inductors in series or in parallel, then what will be its effect. Then we will see the statically induced EMF, dynamically induced EMF, and the coupling coefficient of the inductors. Let's start with the inductance. Let's start with the Fleming's right hand rule and left hand rule. Then we will see the coefficient of self and mutual inductance, coefficient of coupling, series and parallel combination of the inductance. See, the Fleming's right hand rule and left hand rule are the basic rules for study about the electromagnetic inductions. The Fleming's right hand rule says that if you are putting the right hand of your body in the direction, like the first finger will show you the magnetic field, second will show you the current, and the thumb will show you the motion of conductor. This Fleming's right hand rule is widely used for the generators. The statement of Fleming's right hand rules is that stretch the first finger, second finger and thumb of the right hand mutually perpendicular to each other. If the first finger indicates the direction of the magnetic field, thumb indicates the direction of motion of conductor, then second finger will indicate the direction of induced EMF in the conductor. That is, we can see that if the two magnets are put like if one magnet is put, two magnet put like this, then this will be shown by the magnetic field, and this finger will show you current and this thumb will show you the motion of force. The first finger indicates the direction of magnetic field, that is north pole, or whether it is south pole or north to south pole. The second finger indicates the direction of current from positive to negative. The thumb will indicate the direction of force of the rectangular motion. So now if I change or reverse the direction of current or the magnetic field, so what will happen? That the motion of force will also get changed. But if I reverse this both, then what will happen? The motion of force will remain as it is. So you should keep this thing in mind whenever you are applying Fleming's right hand rule. You should remember that if I change the value of current or magnetic field, then the motion or force will get changed. But if I change both at a time, then the motion of force will not get changed. Now see Fleming's left hand rule. Fleming's left hand rule can be used for the motors, electrical motors analysis. Here also the first finger will show us magnetic field, that is B, second finger will show us current, and the third will show us the motion of conductor. So if you point out the left hand rule to the motor's case, then what will happen? If the first finger points in the direction of magnetic flux, that is, this one is the direction of magnetic flux, that is shown by the first finger. Second finger points the direction of current, this one is shows the direction of current, and the thumb will indicate the mechanical force that is acting on the conductor. So this one is the Fleming's left hand rule. This Fleming's left hand rule is used for the analysis of the electrical motors mainly. Okay, now we will see the coefficient of self and mutual inductance. See, the inductance of a coil is depend on its dimension and the material around which it is formed. For example, this one is the symbol of inductor, where you can see that there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or 7 turns. So it is dependent on N. It is also depend on how much is the length of those turns and how much is the cross section area of inductor. So by simple equation we can say that inductance L is equal to mu naught A n square divided by L, all of you know the value of mu 0. Mu 0 is equal to 4 pi into 10 raised to minus 7, right? And A is the area, N is the number of turns, and L is the length. So from this relation we can say that if I increase the length of the material or coil, so what will happen? That the inductance of a inductor will get decreased, because as this L is in denominator. So what will happen if I increase this value L, the small l, that is the length of the coil, the total inductance will get decreased. The inductance is greatly increased through the use of ferromagnetic core. For example, the ferrite area of cross section A, average circumference is L. So what will happen? That L will be capital L, that is the inductance of a inductor, is equal to mu 0 mu r a n square divided by L. So this one is the basic thing, that how to increase the inductance of a inductor. If we are increasing the length, then we will not get more inductance. The equivalent circuit of an inductor will look like this, where a small resistance is inserted in the inductor. That means all the real circuit also possesses the stay capacitance. So this one is the ideal capacitor. Now when a circuit forms a single loop, the EMF induced is given by the rate of change of flux. But when a circuit contains many loops, the resulting EMF is the sum of those produced by each loop. Therefore, if a coil contains n loops, the induced voltage can be given by V is equal to N d phi by dt, where d phi by dt is the rate of change of flux in Weber per second. This property, whereby EMF is induced as a result of change in magnetic flux, is generally known as the inductance. So a changing current in a wire that causes a changing of magnetic field about it. So a changing magnetic field will induce an EMF in the conductor within that field. Therefore, when the current in a coil changes, it induces a EMF in the coil. This process is V is equal to L di by dt. So it is denoted by the self inductance, where L is the inductance of coil and its unit is Henry. That means every coil is having certain inductance. That inductance is called the self inductance and can be find out by V is equal to L di by dt. That means if I am changing the current, then the total inductance, that is of an inductor, will get changed. Now how to find out the coefficient of a self induction, that is denoted by capital L. So there are different methods. We will see two methods in this session. In the first method, we can say that the coefficient of self induction of a coil is defined by the Weber turns per ampere in the coil. By Weber turn is meant that the product of flux in the Weber and the number of turn with the flux is linked. In other words, the flux linkage of the coil is also defined as a coefficient of self inductance. Now consider a solenoid that is having n turns and is carrying a current of I ampere. If the flux produced is 5 Weber, the Weber turns are n phi. Hence the Weber turns ampere are n phi by I. So by this definition, what we can write? That the coefficient of self inductance L is equal to n phi divided by L. The unit of self inductance is same as the inductor, that is Henry. So in above relation, that is this relation that is L is equal to n phi by L, n phi is equal to 1 Weber per turn. See, n is a 1 turn if we are consider, and phi is the Weber, and I is 1 ampere, and L is equal to 1 Henry. So what will happen? Hence a coil is said to have a self inductance of 1 Henry if the current of 1 ampere when flowing through it produces flux linkage of 1 Weber turn in it. Therefore, above relation becomes L is equal to n phi by I Henry. So in any case, if you want to find out that how much is the inductance, you can simply find out by putting this equation, L is equal to N phi into I. If you know the number of turns and the flux that is generated, and if you know the value of current, then you can simply find out how much will be the inductance of a inductor. Okay, we'll see in second method. See, in this method we can write L is equal to N phi by I. So if we are taking N phi as a main, so what will happen, that N phi is equal to L into I, right? That is, N phi we are taking as a main, so N phi is equal to L into I. Or if we simply multiply both the side by minus sign, so what will happen, here minus N phi is equal to minus Li. Now differentiating both sides, that is minus N phi is equal to minus Li, if we differentiate both sides, then what will happen, differentiation sign is equal to differentiating with respect to time, assuming that L is to be constant, right? So what will happen, here L will take as a constant, so it will be taken as a outside, and here it will be d dt of N phi. So we will get one relation, minus N d phi by dt is equal to minus L di by dt. So as seen, minus N d phi by dt is equal to self-induced EMF, that is, it is denoted by E and L. E means EMF and L means the inductance. So EL is equal to minus L di by dt. If di by dt, that is the rate of change of current, if we consider that 1 ampere per second, and EL if we are considered as a 1 volt, that is 1 volt is only induced, and inductance L is equal to 1 Henry. So what will happen? Hence a coil has a self inductance of 1 Henry if 1 volt is induced in it, when the current through it changes at the rate of 1 ampere per second. So these are the two methods. By these two methods we can find out the coefficient of inductance. Okay, now we will see what is the term that is called the mutual inductance. See, when two coils, when we are having two coils, we link with magnetically, then the changing current in one will produce a changing magnetic field which will induce a voltage in the other, that is denoted by the mutual inductance, or that is called the mutual inductance. So mutual inductance, another way we can say that a mutual inductance also defined as the ability of one coil or circuit to produce an EMF in a nearby coil by induction when the current in the first coil is changing. See, this action being reciprocal, that means the second coil can also induce the EMF in first when current in the second coil changes. This ability of reciprocal induction is measured in terms of coefficient of mutual inductance, that is denoted by capital M. So when a current I1 in one circuit induce a voltage V2 in another circuit, then it can be said that V2 is equal to M di1 by dt, where M is nothing but it is a mutual inductance between the circuits. The unit of mutual inductance is Henry. S for the self inductance, that is whether it is a self inductance or mutual inductance or a simple induction, you have to take the unit of inductor is equal to L only, that is L is taken as a Henry. Let's understand the electrodynamics of a mutual inductance with the transformer case. See, here you can see that we have connected two different coil. One coil is, we can say that it is a primary coil, and another coil we can say that it is a secondary coil. So what will happen if we are energizing this coil with the AC source? Here assume that there is a switch that is to be connected, right now the switch is not connected, so it is ideal case. Ideal case, there will be no mutual inductance or self inductance in between the coil. But if I am connecting a AC voltage source with the primary winding, that is my first winding, so what will happen? Let us connect and see. As it is get connected, that is switch get on, so what will happen, that here the current will be applied. So by this current, what will happen, that a flux will develop, so that will cause the induction in the second coil, that is in the secondary coil. So if I am connecting a lamp having a low voltage in the secondary coil, so it will get get on, that when the mutual inductance is occurring in between the two different coil. Okay, let us again see the mutual inductance with a animation. Okay, here we want to study the phenomenon of the mutual inductance. So the phenomenon, we know that if a varying current is flowing in the coil, then the induced EMF is produced in the neighboring coil. It means it is the property of two coil due to which each oppose any change in the current flowing in the other by developing induced EMF. So here we are connecting two different turns. One is having 200 turn and another one is having 3200 turn. With this turn or with this coil, we are connecting one galvanometer. So what will happen if we are only giving the supply to this coil? There will be a mutual inductance that will be created. So by this mutual inductance, what will happen, that this coil will get charged, and when it get charged, the galvanometer will get deflection. So by the deflection of galvanometer, we can understand that there is a certain inductance is induced in the secondary coil. Let us see the demonstration. Here we can see that the galvanometer will get deflected, right? So now according to the Lenz law, the direction of the current in the secondary is such as to oppose the growth of the power supply in the primary. So the deflection of galvanometer is because of secondary induced current. That means here we are connecting two coils. So by this one coil current, the secondary coil current will get current that is induced in the current. So when the switch is turned off, the current in the primary coil begins to decrease towards zero. So the magnetic flux linked with the primary as well as secondary will also get decreased. Because of that, an induced current flows in the secondary. According to Lenz law, the direction of the current should be such as to oppose the decrease of current in the primary, and this is possible only if the induced current flows in the same direction as the power supply current in the primary.